Imagine running combat for a party of 4. Imagine running combat for a party of 5, 6, 7. Can you imagine running combat for 12 maybe? It sounds impossible, but it's not. I've done it, and here's a way that you can run combat for a large encounter.
Welcome to the Home Brew Crew. I'm Tony. This is Sean. And Sean, today we're going to be going over something that I experienced and you DM'd.
Yeah, so it's almost like we're having a player and DM perspective, but between the two of us.
Yeah, that's true. I saw this man run 12 people in a setting where it was just one big group with 12 people.
Yeah.
And I personally would have gone crazy as the DM trying to keep track of everything, but you came up with a really cool method that you thought maybe we should share with people.
Yeah, so a little bit of context. I run 2 groups. There's 6 people in each group. We're having a big event where we're going to have both groups come in and make an appearance. And of course, with all my sessions, I like to put in combat. I was scared out of my mind because knowing that I have to have 12 players plus X amount of enemies to balance was horrifying. And thankfully, I actually got this idea from one of my players. He plays a Centaur Ranger, and he knows who he is. And the day before...
I did not know that came from him.
I know, believe it or not. And the day before, when I was kind of like racking my brain, he went up to me like, so how do you plan on running combat with 12 players? And I was like, I have no idea. He said, what if you just had people maybe like pair up? And I was thinking about like, that's not a bad idea. So this is how basically it went down. Before combat started, I basically had everyone pair up with a buddy. Either someone next to you or someone that you want to kind of buddy up with.
Which was kind of cool because everybody had their favorite people in the group anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of the pairings were kind of
interesting to say the least. So basically, once they picked out a buddy, between the 2 players, they would roll for initiative and add their initiative modifiers. If they had any special feats, they can add that to their roll as well. You take the 2 initiative rolls, and you take the average, and that's going to be the initiative for that pair. So for this example, we have 12 players. We're going to have 6 pairs of rolls.
Right.
Once we have the 6 pairs of rolls, you then order them according to their paired off roll, including with the enemies themselves.
So instead of having 12 different initiative rolls, you had 6.
Yeah,
which is a comfortable game to play.
Which immediately already solves the problem of trying to worry about 12 different initiative rolls. Now you only have 6 to worry about. The nice thing is when it's that pair's turn, the pair in between the 2 players will get to decide how they want to actually go first and how they want to plan their move. And this is kind of cool because like you were paired, you're a sorcerer warlock, and you were paired with a bard.
Yeah, yeah, and that character, just character speaking, that character really thinks that the sorcerer is like a really nice, awesome person kind of thing, and they're really not. So they just kind of it's a very interesting dynamic. But what was cool about it is we were able to plan out some of the things what we were going to do. Okay, like you put them to sleep, and I will hit them really, really hard. They'll die before they wake up. It was cool because it allowed you to actually have combat tactics with another class, which was great.
Exactly. And it was nice because since I had everyone paired up, instead of spending all this time by yourself trying to decide what you can do, now you have a person and a partner that you can kind of like tactically make strategy with.
And I'll tell you, it helped out with, because we had this long table. It was like,
oh my god, it was like Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is, like, I wasn't necessarily paying attention to what was happening on the other side of the table, and that normally, if we were on a 1-by-1 basis, you kind of pay attention to what you're going to do and what have you. But because you divided the number of people in half by doing that initiative roll, you now had, what's this pair doing? What's that pair doing?
Right.
It was easier to pay attention to what the whole group was going to do.
Exactly.
And, it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. There's 2 things that I really got out of running combat this way with that many players, and this is what you can kind of get out if you're running even like 10 or 9 or 8. By using the buddy system, for one, it created a sense of urgency. Now that you're fighting in pairs, now that you have someone else that you have to worry about, now you're kind of like worrying like, okay, now we got to make sure that we're both ready before that pair's ready, and then the pair below them is going to try and prepare and all that.
Which was great. I mean, there was not a time where somebody was going through their book and going, what am I going to, like,
and I've had that problem with running 4 to 5 people sometimes.
But but it was simply because you had 2 people that were there like, okay, I'm going to do this. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Exactly.
So it was kind of like you had somebody coaching and helping to get things going. It was a really great communication.
And secondly, besides the sense of urgency, it also helped because, again, with this many players, it sounds like it could be very easy to kind of lose attention. Strangely enough, I didn't have that problem. Everyone was actually really like into the combat. They were focusing on what's going on, and they're paying attention to what the other pairs were doing, so that way they can set themselves up for what their pair is going to do. So it was actually kind of cool to see. Like, I've had problems with distracted players when it came to like even a party of 6. I have this table of 12 people, and by kind of pairing everyone up, thankfully everyone was pretty attentive enough, and everyone knew what was going on. I didn't have to ask that many questions like, hey, what's going on? Hey, who's next? Blah, blah, blah. It's like everyone knew. Like, it was clockwork.
We got through that combat the same as it would be if we had a session of 5 people.
Right,
It was that like fast and exact.
It was just so efficient, and I had them fighting a bunch of these sword wraiths, and the sword wraith commanders actually spawn out little sword wraiths. There was a point where I had like 6, 7, 10 enemies on the board.
It was almost to the point of having to use like Colville's like war strategy stuff.
Yeah, I know. We were getting there.
Because it was so big with it. Like, every time we would clear off one section, there'd be like 6 others coming on from this other side of the bolt, and I'm like, I don't know if I can handle this. It was intense.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
And from a DM's perspective, even when you're handling a regular party, sometimes kind of trying to keep track of everyone's statistics and notes and everything, it can be a bit of a hassle. When you're running something like this, make sure that you know how you're going to be noting down. Are you going to be using a different program? Are you going to be writing everything by hand? Before you jump into combat like this, make sure that you have all your notes and all the ways you're going to note everything down prepared. That way you're not stuck in a situation where you get confused. But I think by using the buddy system in this scenario, it definitely simplified things. Instead of having to kind of like note down 12 different things, I got to note everything down in pairs. And it helped me a lot because I didn't have to worry about, the players being attentive or the players like spending too much time on their moves. By the time I got to the next pair, they knew exactly what they were doing. It was awesome.
Everybody was helping each other out. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really, really great. The thing that we don't really talk about a lot are homebrew rules, because we base most of our stuff off D&D Beyond, or we look at something that somebody sends us or what have you, and not a lot of people are doing homebrew rules where they're actually posting them. A lot of people just kind of put their own homebrew rules in the game. But we'd love to see those too. If you've got something that's working out really, really well, something that's handled a common issue for people, we would love to do a video on it and let people know about it.
Yeah, especially in my campaign right now, I feel like I'm kind of making up rules like every other month. But with the homebrew campaign, the great thing is that you can use the base set of rules and everything out the book, but you're more than welcome to modify or change or add a completely new mechanic if it's going to make things faster, more efficient, and importantly, more fun.
And more fun's kind of what we're all about here, because the best campaigns are always the ones that are homebrewed. Right, Sean?
As always.
That's right. So until next time, keep brewing.